Today is a very special day. This is American Independence Day for all you Yanks out there. So if you're celebrating the day, and I know that most of you are because the majority of my audience on this channel are from the United States, then happy Treason Day, you ungrateful colonials. Hello! Welcome to Brainspill, the laziest show on the internet. My name is Tank, and of course the 4th of July is the day of celebration, the date that the United States of America became independent in 1776 when the Declaration of Independence was signed. Common celebratory traditions include shooting off fireworks, waving the American flag, and eating and drinking as much as you physically can until you can't eat or drink anymore. All in the name of being a true-blooded American. That last part kinda sounded like every other day, but here we are. And yes, I could have made a video today about American independence and all that stuff, but I'm going to talk about something a little bit closer to my heart. Alcohol. So, to make sure that we're all still on topic, there is a very odd reason why the United States of America has a drinking age of 21 years of age. I say this is odd because compared to many other countries around the world, this is actually one of the oldest minimum legal drinking ages there is. Better to have it older than younger, I guess. If you're a male in Burkina Faso, you can purchase alcohol at the age of 13, with a woman being able to do so at 16 years of age. This is crazy in itself, but then we're looking at the United States, where they look at things on the complete opposite end of the scale. More older than younger. You might think that this number was just plucked out of midair for no reason, and you'd be partially correct, but there is actually a really big reason behind this, which we're going to dive into today, to find out exactly why 21 is the age they chose. I mean, why couldn't they have just picked the same average age that everyone else picks? 18. What difference does those 3 extra years make? In the grand scheme of things, at least. This goes back to a period called Prohibition in the United States, which was a nationwide constitutional ban on the production, importation, transportation, and the sale of alcoholic beverages from the year 1920 to 1933. Despite these perfectionist and temperance movements, this was eventually reversed when support for Prohibition waned. The drinking age from that point on was 21 and stayed that way until 1971, when the national minimum voting age was dropped. With it, younger people who now had a say at the voting booth were seeking other reforms. Or more likely, politicians willing to cash in on their new demographic proposed a reduction in the national drinking age to 18 years of age. What you do have to note as well is that even though the national drinking age was 21, many states individually decided to bring the age down, with many states choosing 20, 19 or even 18 years of age. The consistency was truly non-existent. So, what was the reason that 21 was chosen as the national legal minimum drinking age? You might think that it might have something to do with health, which would be a completely logical and noble reason to pick a higher drinking age. But of course, we're talking about the United States, and health comes secondary. The real reason was to protect your rights. It was claimed that if you can vote, and you can be drafted in to serve your country, then you're probably old enough to drink. Despite this starting to happen, many came forward to highlight a worrying trend. Researchers pointed out that lowering the minimum drinking age in the country was contributing to a higher level of traffic accidents among young people. And you know what? That makes perfect sense. If you've got a bunch of teenagers learning to drive at the age of 16, mind you, you don't want them to also start drinking at the same time. That is just a recipe for disaster if I've ever heard of it. Therefore, calls were made for the minimum drinking age to be returned to 21 across the board, to try and curb this activity. Hopefully, once people were legal enough to be able to purchase and consume alcohol, they will have not only matured a little bit more, but also have had enough experience driving to know that having alcohol is probably not a good idea when you're behind the wheel. So, in view of this, the National Minimum Drinking Age Act passed in 1984, which stated federal highway funds would be withheld from US states that failed to set the minimum legal drinking age back to 21. And off the back of that, you know for sure that if money's involved, every single state decided to revert back to 21. And it's been that way ever since, because nobody wants to lose that sweet, sweet government money. Just imagine that you're in a state and you just turn 18, for example, and you're legally entitled to not only go out and vote, but also purchase your first pint. Beautiful stuff. However, then these laws come in, and it then goes back to 21. So a right you did have is then taken away from you, and then you've got to wait a further 3 years. That must suck. Of course, it would be completely naive to say that people who were underage in the United States were not able to acquire and drink alcohol underage. I mean, it's just a standard thing that does happen. Not advocating it, but I'm just putting it out there. Whilst, of course, this still happens with many people under the age of 21 having access to alcohol in some form or manner, they believe that having some sort of barrier or prevention is better than having none at all. This also makes more sense when you know that the minimum age that you have to be in the United States to start learning to drive a car is 16 in most states, meaning that the majority of US citizens who turn to the legal age of drink will also probably have access to a car. In Alaska, Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, North and South Dakota, you can get a learner's permit at the age of 14. So yeah, that's a real reason for concern. So, did it all work? The Centre for Disease Control and Protection reported that since the minimum legal drinking age was raised to 21, there has been a median decrease in motor-related crashes by 16%, with an overall decrease in people drinking between the ages of 21 and 25, once the minimum legal drinking age was changed. They even went on to claim that there was evidence to prove that people of 21 years of age, who for the most part were able to first legally purchase and consume alcohol, saw much lower rates of alcohol intake, drug use and dependence, adverse birth outcomes, suicide and homicide. So yeah, to answer the very simple question at the start of the video, that is the reason why the minimum legal drinking age is 21 in the United States, which for someone like myself who's in a European country, many places around the world have the median age of about 18. So for us to even contemplate having to wait a further 3 years to be able to walk into a pub and buy a pint, it just doesn't seem normal. But it's the world we live in, and of course, there is good reason behind everything. Except you, Burkina Faso. 13 years? I just don't see the point. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified as soon as I upload my next video, be sure to hit the bell button. And if you've got any ideas for what topics you'd like me to discuss next, let me know down in the comments below. As always, sources used in the video will be in the description. So, next time you're in a conversation and somebody asks this very question, you will be armed with the knowledge you know to be able to answer the question of why the minimum legal drinking age is 21. Well, it does vary state to state, but really the answer is your rights and your money. So, there we are. Either that, or just link in this video. Whatever works best. I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.